Quote, as we achieve our goal, we clear a path for you to achieve your freedom. These were the words of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during the 12-day war aimed at the Iranian civilians. Here's where things are getting worrying again, though. Israel has ramped up its rhetoric, but it's different this time from the rhetoric before they initiated on June 13th. They're saying the quiet part from then out loud now. Before, they said it was about neutralizing Iran's nuclear capabilities, right? Because Iran, hates our guts, and, if they get the nuke, they're gonna, make good on their promise. All that, chucking in the bin now, that didn't work, let's try something else. That was their public goal stated before. Remember how I said on this page that their hidden goals are something else? I said the actual unstated goal was to expand the conflict, pull the US in, and destabilize, ideally neutralize Iran as any viable threat for them now or into the future. Iran is in the region the only main opposition to the Israeli state. Well, now here you have it. Israeli rhetoric has caught up with my forecasting, even out in the public. As recently as today, it's no longer talking about nukes. The Israeli topic is talking about potential or desire for regime change in Iran. It's saying the oppressive regime in Tehran that rules over the Iranian people should or could be replaced. Not directly currently the position of the Israeli state, but officials are saying it. The noise being made in Israeli media is getting louder. This is what you see. You see that sort of rhetoric before to sort of desensitize or get the civilian population, the citizens of whatever nation, in agreement before they actually follow through at a state level and do something based on those words. Different words from different Israeli officials, but same direction. Well, Iran is also technically calling for, regime change. Reverse card. How about that? They're calling for regime change in Israel, in that they want to replace the Tel Aviv regime. But I think what Iran has in mind is a bit more, you could say, dramatic, in that they want the new regime to be a Palestinian. Okay, anyway, that's another video, completely different story. Now, why is all this important now? It's my son. He's like, blah, blah. Anyway, why is all this important now? Because I forecast earlier that the Israel-Iran conflict may flare up once more if any change is made on Iran's side, i.e., for example, they say we're going to convert our civilian nuclear program into a weapons program, or if they say, based on extenuating circumstances, we're going to withdraw from the non-proliferation treaty. I made a video on that maybe a couple of days ago. Or they go absolutely full Monty, or whatever, full, pick an Iranian name, full Abdullah. They go full they go full Ali, Sayyid Ali, and they say we have a nuke. Actually, turns out we had a nuke all along. Oh, there is. That might be used by Israel as a reason to strike again. Though I would say if they announced a nuclear weapon is in their possession, I don't think Israel would find it as easy to start something up again. Alternatively, once Israel feels ready, stocked up again with its interceptors for its Iron Dome and David Sling and Arrow and THAAD and Patriot, THAAD's also in the mix. You have American destroyers off the coast of Israel. If they feel prepared again, they feel restocked, that alone might be enough for it to preemptively attack again, for Israel to defend itself thousands of miles away, business as usual for them. Further pressure from the Atomic Agency, with Rafael Grossi, the head, demanding inspection rights in Iran, are being denied by the Iranian state. That's, another potential reason this thing could pop off again. That could be used as justification by Israel. They could say, the Atomic Agency has not got details, we're flying blind here, we don't know what our enemies have in terms of nuclear capabilities, we're going in. Right? Rafael Grossi, it should be noted, may have been compromised, right? Google Rafael Grossi compromised, and you might get some more details. His allegiances may no longer be impartial if they ever were. Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, for example, confirmed when asked that it's Russia's position that the IAEA, the Atomic Agency of the UN, may have been compromised, with Rafael Grossi, quote, giving enemies of Iran, end quote, details with which airstrikes were carried out in a more targeted manner on June 13th and onwards. So if Iran lets inspectors in, turns out inspectors are basically working for, the enemies. How about, no, you can't go in anymore. Makes sense, right? Now, if confirmed, the Rafael Grossi scandal, it makes complete sense, as I said, without even any further strategic thinking about future nuclear capabilities. It makes complete sense just off the back of that for Iran to say, you are not coming in, you are no longer welcome, even though we Persians are very hospitable people, generally. Not to our enemies, though. Now, look up or await my further video on the Rafael Grossi story. But generally, all this combined with the fact that Iran's airspace is only partially reopened, there's very much a chance that things may pop off once again. I really hope not, because, you know, civilians suffer spectacularly and disproportionately just for the great games being played at a state level. Ideally, that would not happen. Now, next video, I want to talk about something that most don't want you to know, especially the West. They won't want you to see. They won't want to show. And that's one of the reasons why Israel felt pressured into agreeing to a ceasefire after only 12 days. And that is the lethality of Iranian missile capabilities. The intel on this one has now been released, is more publicly available, therefore I can talk about it now that the conflict is currently over in its first iteration. Spoiler alert, Iran used their old missile stock and it still did catastrophic damage and went through all the Israeli defense systems. Right, more on that in the next video, but basically Iran was only starting to ramp up into their most modern missiles. Khaybar Shekan, as I made a video about with the teal blue banner, one of their very powerful, capable missiles, were only used in the last couple of days. So if you imagine loads of Khaybar Shekans, you know, much harder to intercept. Yeah, no, Israel didn't even have to face that. So in a round two, if either side pops it off, and very likely Iran wouldn't pop anything off, Iran is in a position where it benefits from peace. It might try some things like withdrawing from the NPT, announcing a nuclear weapons program. Those things are, you know, announcements, but they wouldn't attack preemptively, I do not think. Right? Israel might attack preemptively again, though, I think. And if that's the case, well, that's what the next video talks about. The missile capability of Iran is actually more formidable than initially thought, and definitely more formidable than the West would have you believe. For the unbiased news, and what do I say after that? For the unbiased news and analysis, without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz, and you know where to find me. I'll see you on the next one. That was weird ending.